The room was dark. Cold metal walls surrounded the space. A single light flickered from above. In the center of the room, a human man sat on a steel chair. His hands were tied. His face was bruised, but he still smiled. His name was Captain Darren Cross. He had been a soldier, a leader, and now a prisoner of war. Outside the glass wall, 2 alien guards stood watching him. Their skin was dark blue, their eyes glowing red. They were part of the Vorax Empire, the alien race that had attacked Earth. Earth had lost the war. Now, the Vorax ruled most of the solar system. They had destroyed cities, captured colonies, and hunted down the remaining human fighters. Only a few humans were left, hiding in the shadows. Darren was one of them. And he had let them catch him. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The guards turned. A tall alien woman entered. She wore black armor, sharp and heavy. Her eyes were cold. Her name was General Raka, the one who led the final attack on Earth. She looked at Darren through the glass. Then the door opened. She stepped inside. So she said, her voice low and strong, "This is the famous human captain." Darren looked up, smiling. "Didn't think you'd come in person." Raka stepped closer. "You've been silent for 2 days. No food, no water. Why?" Darren leaned back as much as the ropes would allow. "Just waiting for the right time." Raka frowned. "You think someone is coming to save you?" "No," Darren said. "I'm not here to be saved." Raka raised an eyebrow. "Then why are you here, human?" Darren smiled again, but this time his eyes were serious. "You'll see." She walked around him slowly. "Your people are almost gone. Your planet is dust. You have nothing left." Darren looked at her. "We still have one thing." "What?" "Hope," Raka laughed. "Hope doesn't win wars." "Sometimes," Darren said. "It's enough to start one." She stopped behind him. Silence filled the room for a moment. Then suddenly, a tiny red light blinked in the corner of the ceiling. A camera lens moved slightly. Raka didn't see it, but Darren did. He tilted his head and smiled again. Far away, on a hidden rebel ship, a young technician saw the signal. "Sir," she said into her headset, "the prisoner has sent the code. Phase 1 is complete." On her screen, the red blinking light turned green. Back in the cell, Raka leaned close to Darren's ear. "I will break you," she whispered. Darren didn't move. "You can try." Raka turned to leave, but before she reached the door, the ground shook. A loud explosion echoed through the base. The lights flickered, then turned red. Alarms began to scream. Raka spun around. "What was that?" Darren laughed softly. "That was the beginning." Outside the cell, chaos started. Soldiers ran. Smoke filled the halls. Another explosion hit, this time closer. Raka growled and stepped toward Darren. "You did this." Darren looked calm. "No, we did this." Suddenly the door behind Raka blasted open. A figure stepped through the smoke. It was a Vorax soldier, but not like the others. This one wore a different symbol on his chest, an ancient human rebel mark. Raka was shocked. You betrayed us." The soldier aimed a weapon at her. "Step away from the prisoner." Raka hissed but stepped back. The soldier cut Darren free. Darren stood up, stretched his arms, and looked at Raka one last time. "See you soon," he said. Then he and the rebel Vorax vanished into the smoke. The inside man, it was quiet now. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the dangerous kind. The kind of silence that comes just before the storm. Smoke still floated through the long metal hallways of the Vorax base. Red lights flashed. Alarms had stopped, but the fear was still in the air. In the shadows of a broken corridor, the Vorax soldier who rescued Darren walked ahead with quick steps. His armor was cracked. His movements were sharp, trained. But something about him didn't feel like the others. Darren followed close behind, rubbing his wrists where the ropes had burned his skin. He watched the soldier carefully. Finally, the soldier stopped near a sealed door. He tapped a code on a hidden panel. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a small room, full of old tech and blinking screens. Human tech. Darren stepped inside slowly. You were the one who sent the signal. The soldier removed his helmet. He wasn't fully human. But he wasn't fully Vorax either. Half of his face was smooth and pale like a human. The other half had the dark blue skin and glowing eye of the Vorax. My name is Kale, he said. I was born on a mining moon. My mother was human. My father wasn't. Darren stared at him. So you're the traitor they've been talking about. Kale didn't flinch. If loyalty means killing innocent people, then yes, I'm a traitor. He turned to one of the screens. Images of the base showed Vorax soldiers searching, shouting. The place was in chaos. Kale pointed to a map. We have 12 minutes before they find this room. We need to move. Darren crossed his arms. Why are you helping us? Helping me? Kale paused. There was a boy, he said. During the Battle of Titan, a human child. Our squad was told to kill everyone, even civilians, but one of your soldiers, he died protecting that boy. Took 5 shots, never fired back. He looked down at the floor. I watched that happen. And something broke inside me. Darren's face softened. He nodded slowly. All right, he said. Then let's finish what we started. Kale handed him a device. This will help you move through the base's defense grid. But there's more. You weren't just brought here for information. What do you mean? Kale opened a small compartment in the wall. Inside was a metal box glowing faintly with blue light. This, Kale whispered, is the Vorax's secret weapon. But it's not ready yet. It's a hybrid built using both Vorax and human DNA. They call it Project Omega. Darren stepped closer. So that's why they kept me alive? Kale nodded. They needed your blood. Darren's eyes narrowed. Then we destroy it. Kale shook his head. No, we steal it. Suddenly, the lights went dark. Then back up. Lights kicked in dim and red. Voices shouted in the hallway. They found us, Kale said. He grabbed the box, handed it to Darren, and pulled out his weapon. We'll go through the maintenance shafts. It's the only way out now. As they moved, crawling through tight tunnels, Darren whispered, What happens after this? You think the humans will trust you? Kale stopped and looked at him. No, but I don't care about trust. I care about doing the right thing. They reached a small exit hatch. Kale pushed it open slightly and peeked out. Clear. He helped Darren out first. Then climbed after him. They were now in an old cargo hangar. Abandoned, dusty, and dark. Kale turned to seal the hatch, but something slammed into him. It was General Rekka. She had followed the heat trail. Her armor was scorched, her eyes burning with rage. You, she growled. You dare betray your own blood. Kale groaned, pinned to the wall. Darren raised his weapon. Let him go. Rekka looked at Darren, smiled, and drew her blaster. You'll both die here. She aimed, but before she could fire, Kale activated a flash bomb from his belt. Boom. White light exploded in the room. Rekka screamed and fell back. Kale grabbed Darren's arm. Run! They escaped into the shadows, vanishing again. Breach protocol. It started with silence. Then came the sound of fire. A siren howled through the broken halls of the Vorax base, echoing like a dying animal. Steel beams hung from the ceiling. Sparks rained from torn wires. The floor trembled with every distant blast. Somewhere inside the ruins, 2 shadows moved fast. Captain Darren Cross and the half-human soldier, Kale, were running through smoke-filled corridors, chased by death on every side. Kale held a small box against his chest, the Vorax hybrid weapon. Its glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Darren followed close, his eyes locked on the map Kale had projected onto his wrist. We need to reach Sector 7, Kale said. That's where the breach tunnel leads to open space. Are the humans waiting there? They will be. If I sent the signal right. Darren grinned, but it faded quickly. Behind them, a blast door slammed shut. Another hallway collapsed. The entire base was tearing itself apart. 12 hours earlier. On a rebel ship floating beyond the moon's orbit, a young woman stared at a black screen. Her name was Lieutenant Mara Vale, expert hacker and Darren's most trusted comms officer. She typed quickly, her eyes locked in focus. Symbols ran across the screen like water. Come on, Kale ... She muttered, give me the breach key ... Then ping. A signal appeared, encrypted. Human code hidden inside alien tech. Mara's eyes lit up. Commander, she shouted. There. In protocol, breach is green. In the shadows behind her, an old man stepped forward. Worn face, sharp eyes. General Pierce, commander of the last human war fleet. It's time, he said. Time for what? Mara asked. He smiled coldly. To remind the galaxy who we are. Now back in the base, Darren and Kale reached the breach door. It was thick, deadlocked, coded only for high command. Kale knelt beside the panel, pulling wires, typing fast. This was designed to never open from this side. Then why are we here? Darren snapped. Kale smirked. Because I'm not Vorax. And I'm not human. I'm something they didn't plan for. He pressed a wire into his arm. A needle connected. His blood to the system. The door blinked once, then slid open. Cold air rushed in. Beyond the door, a dark hangar, lit by stars. A small fighter ship waited inside. Dusty, old, but ready. Kale smiled. That's our ride. But then, clang, a sound from above. Both men froze. From the catwalks above, metal boots echoed. Raka was back. Her armor was cracked, her face bleeding, but she looked more dangerous than ever. You think this is over? She shouted. You think you've won? She jumped down, landing hard. The floor cracked under her weight. Kale raised his blaster. Darren stood beside him, gripping the weapon tighter. You're not stopping us, Darren said. Raka laughed. You still think you're the hero? You're just a ghost human. Your species is dead. Kale looked at her, eyes glowing with quiet. Fire. Then why are you afraid? She screamed and charged. Blasters fired. Lights shattered. Smoke filled the room. Darren and Kale split apart, moving like trained warriors. Years of war had shaped them. One human, one half-blood, fighting. Not just for survival, but for meaning. Kale fired 3 shots. One hit Raka's shoulder. She roared and threw a metal pipe at him. He dodged, barely. Darren found the ship controls and shouted, Kale! Get in! Kale ran, blasting the control panel behind him. As they jumped into the ship, Raka grabbed the edge of the ramp. Her eyes met Darren's. She hissed, You can't run forever. Darren didn't blink. No, he said, but I can fly. He hit the thrusters. The ship shook. Fire poured from its engines, and Raka fell back, consumed by the blast. The ship shot through the hangar doors into open space. Inside the ship, silence, only the hum of the engines. Kale sat on the floor, holding his side. He was bleeding. Darren took the glowing box and placed it into a lock safe. Then he looked at Kale. You didn't have to come back for me. Kale smiled weakly. Yeah, I did. Darren leaned back in the pilot seat. He stared out at the stars. Behind them, the base exploded. A bright blue fireball filled the void. Kale whispered, They'll chase us. Darren nodded. Let them. He activated the beacon. Message to all rebel ships, he said. Captain Cross is alive. I have the weapon. And we're not done. Yet. The game begins. Space was quiet. Too quiet. A single rebel ship floated in orbit behind a dead moon. No lights, no signals. Just silence. Inside, Captain Darren Cross stood in the middle of a holographic war room. Star maps blinked around him. Red dots marked enemy zones. Blue ones marked rebel hideouts, only a few left. Cale lay on a medical bed nearby. Bandages across his side. Still weak, but alive, Darren stared at the glowing cube on the table, the hybrid weapon. It pulsed slowly, like a beating heart. "Everything we've been through," he whispered, "leads to this." The door behind him opened with a hiss. Lieutenant Mara Vale entered, holding a datapad. "They found the wreckage," she said. "Anyone survive?" Raka did. Darren didn't look surprised. "She always survives." Mara stepped closer. "You think she'll come after us?" Darren turned toward her. "She won't chase us," he said. "She'd do something worse." Meanwhile, on a Vorax command ship, Raka stood in front of a black mirror. Her reflection looked like a ghost. Armor burned, eye swollen, pride shattered. She watched the rebel transmission again. Darren's voice played on loop. "Captain Cross is alive. I have the weapon, and we're not done yet." She crushed the dataship in her hand. A soldier stepped forward. "Orders, General?" Raka turned. "Calm now. We do nothing." The soldier blinked. "Nothing?" She smiled coldly. "We wait." Back at the rebel ship, one day later, Cale sat up slowly, wincing. Darren handed him a drink. "I should have died back there," Cale said. "But you didn't," Darren replied. "That means you're still part of the mission." Cale looked at the glowing cube. "We can't keep running with that thing. They'll track it." "We're not running," Darren said. "We're going to play their game now." Mara stepped in, puzzled. "What are you planning?" Darren stared at the star map. "They think we're scattered," he said. "They think we're scared." He zoomed in on a blinking dot, an abandoned Vorax outpost near the edge of the system. "But they forgot something." "What?" Darren smiled. "We used to be hunters too." Scene change, abandoned outpost dust. Silence, a broken alien. Tower rising from a ruined planet. Inside, Darren stood alone in the shadows. He had sent a fake signal, one the Vorax couldn't ignore. A message saying the hybrid weapon would be traded here. Cale and Mara watched from a hidden ship nearby. "Are you sure this is going to work?" Cale asked. Mara nodded. "If Raka is as proud as you say, she'll come herself." And she did, just as the sun dipped below the horizon. A sleek black ship landed with a heavy thud. Vorax soldiers stepped out. Then RHAK, no weapons. No backup. She walked straight toward Darren. The wind blew dust across the ground. "You're brave," she said. "Or stupid." "Maybe both," Darren replied. They stared at each other like two kings in a dead kingdom. "You came alone?" Darren asked. Raka smiled. "I never needed an army to kill a man." He held up the glowing cube. "Then you'll need more then. That to stop what's coming." She paused. "You still think you can win?" she said. "You still think the humans can rise again?" Darren stepped closer. "No, I know we will." Raka narrowed her eyes. "Why bring me here? Why not just run?" "Because it's not just about survival anymore," Darren said. "It's about sending a message." He dropped the cube to the ground. Raka stepped forward, eyes wide. "No." Boom. A flash of light exploded from the cube. A pulse wave shot across the sky. Not a weapon, a signal. Far across the stars, hidden rebel ships received the pulse. A code, a call to arms. Cut to hidden rebel colonies. Lights came on. Engines powered up. Old warships rose from caves and junkyards. Across a dozen moons, humans stood, ready. The signal had awakened them. Back at the outpost, Raka stared at the smoking remains of the fake cube. "You tricked me," she whispered. Darren turned away. "No," he said. "I started the game." He walked toward his ship as Vorax soldiers raised their weapons. Suddenly, Explosions ripped through the hills. Kale and Mara's ship appeared, firing cover. Darren ran, jumped aboard, and they took off, vanishing into the clouds. Raka stood in the dust, alone again, this time. The fear in her eyes was real. Weapon zero. There were no stars here, only cold. The ship flew deep into an unmarked zone of space, blacker than any night on Earth. No signal reached this place. No map ever showed it. Darren stood by the window, staring into the void. "This is it," Kale said quietly, sitting beside the glowing box. His wounds were healing, but he looked tired, like his soul carried more weight than his body. Mara entered the room, a dataship in hand. "I cracked the Vorax encryption," she said. "This thing isn't just a weapon." Darren turned slowly. "Then what is it?" Kale stepped forward. "It's a vault," he said. "A container ... for something alive." Flashback, Vorax science facility, years ago. A team of alien scientists stood around a chamber. Inside, a small floating crystal surrounded by wires. Blood samples and glowing fluid. The lead scientist spoke in a hushed voice. "It responds to thought, to fear. It grows stronger in war. We don't control it, it controls us." Another asked, "Then why keep it?" "Because if the humans ever return ... we'll need it." Present, the ship reached a dark asteroid, shaped like a broken skull. It wasn't just rock. It was a Vorax lab, hidden, shut down long ago. "Why here?" Mara asked. Kale looked down. "Because this is where it was created." Inside the lab, rusty doors creaked open. Cold air poured out, untouched for years, flickering. Lights revealed metal walls covered in Vorax writing. Symbols of warning. Symbols of fear. Darren, Kale, and Mara moved slowly, weapons ready. In the center of the lab was a chamber, round, glass and sealed. Kale placed the glowing box on a panel. The door hissed open. Inside ... was a pod. And inside the pod, something humanoid, not fully human, not fully alien. It floated in thick blue fluid, eyes closed. "No heartbeat. What is that?" Mara whispered. Kale spoke without looking away. "That is weapon zero." Darren stepped closer. His face was unreadable. "It looks like ... me." Kale nodded. "They made it using your DNA. The Vorax wanted to build the perfect soldier. One who could think like a human but fight like a god." He pointed to the neck of the figure, a neural link. "Once activated, it becomes ... you." Darren stared. "Like a copy?" Kale shook his head. "More like a mirror. It copies your thoughts, your instincts. But it's not loyal to you. It's loyal to war." Mara looked concerned. "Then why bring us here?" Darren answered. "Because this isn't about using it." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small black sphere, a scrambler. "It's about destroying it." Suddenly, the lights cut out. A voice echoed through the dark. "You always did think too small, Captain." Rucka. She stepped out of the shadows, her face lit by the pale glow of the chamber. "You followed me here?" Darren asked. "I didn't need to," she said. "You did exactly what I wanted. You led me ... to it." Mara raised her blaster. Kale moved in front of the pod. Rika smiled. "Kill me if you want. But the chamber is linked to my life signal. If I die ... The pod opens." Everyone froze. Kale whispered. She turned herself into the key. Raka stepped forward. "This is not about humans or Vorax anymore. It's about evolution. This thing, Weapon Zero, will be the future. A future where only the strong survive." Darren looked at the floating body, then back at Raka. "You're wrong," he said. "That thing doesn't belong to any future. It belongs in a grave." He threw the scrambler at the pod. A pulse fired. The lights shattered. The pod sparked, cracked, then exploded. Blue liquid spilled everywhere. Silence. Then a breath. The body moved. Its eyes opened. It looked at Darren. "Not With hate, not with fear, but with understanding, like it already knew him. Darren took a step back. Cale whispered, "Too late." It opened its eyes. No name, no voice, no past, only images. Flashes of war, fire, running, screaming, a face in the smoke. A voice whispering one word over and over, "Darren." The being inside the broken pod took its first breath. Its skin was pale, its veins glowing faint blue. It looked human, but it wasn't. It stepped out of the pod, dripping with fluid. The floor hissed where its feet touched. Across the room, Captain Darren Cross stood frozen. He wasn't afraid. He was confused, because the thing walking toward him looked like a mirror. Same face, same height, same scar, but the eyes were different. Cold. Calculating. Empty, Darren, it said. The voice was deeper, slower, like a memory that never aged. Cale aimed his blaster. "We need to leave now." But Darren stepped forward. "Wait." Rucka, leaning against the wall, bleeding but smiling, laughed quietly. "You see it now, human," she said. "It knows you." "It is you." The creature turned to Rucka. "You created me," it said. "You used his DNA, but I'm not him." It walked past Darren without blinking. "I'm better." And then it moved fast. Rucka raised her weapon. Too slow. Crack. A single punch shattered her arm. She screamed, dropped her gun, and fell. Weapon 0 knelt beside her. "Weak," it said. It raised its hand to finish her, but Darren grabbed its wrist. "Enough," he growled. The creature looked at him, curious. "Why?" "Because this isn't who I am." Weapon 0 tilted its head. "Then why do I remember doing it?" Flash, inside Weapon 0's mind images again. A burning colony. Darren's voice shouting. But something is wrong. These aren't Darren's memories. They are choices Weapon 0 thinks he would make. But darker, harsher. Its programming isn't just logic. It's a twisted version of Darren's instinct. Made for war only. Back in the lab, the walls trembled. Explosions outside. Vorax ships descending. Reka had sent a distress call before arriving. Cale pulled Mara behind cover. "We don't have time," he shouted. "We either destroy it, or it destroys us." But Darren didn't flinch. He stepped between Rucka and Weapon 0. "You want to know the difference between you and me?" Darren said. Weapon 0 stared. "You were built to win. I was born to fight for something bigger than myself." Weapon 0 raised its hand, palm glowing. Cale raised his blaster, ready to shoot, but Rucka, still alive, spoke with a broken voice. "I gave it one command," she whispered. "Kill the original." Weapon 0's eyes flickered. It turned toward Darren. Charged. Cale fired. Missed. Mara screamed. Darren stood his ground. At the last second, he whispered, "Safety's on." Weapon 0 blinked. It stopped. Darren held out the scrambler sphere, the one he pretended to use earlier, but this time, it was active. A blue pulse lit the room. Weapon 0 dropped to its knees. Shaking, Darren grabbed a power rod and slammed it into the control core behind the pod, sending a shockwave through the system. Sparks flew. Weapon 0 roared, not in pain, but in resistance. Its body started breaking down, not destroyed, but shut down. It looked up one last time at Darren. "I could have been more." Darren knelt beside it. "You were never the weapon," he said. "You were the warning." With one final pulse of light, Weapon 0 collapsed, its body going still. Outside, rebel ships appeared, the sky filled with fighters. The last human fleet had arrived. Cale and Mara rushed out to guide them. Darren walked over to Rucka. She was coughing. "Weak, defeated. Any last words, human?" She mocked with a bloody smile. Darren looked down at her, calm. "Yeah," he said. He picked up her weapon, smirked. "Safety's on," and walked away. Humans fight back. She was just a girl. 10 years old. hiding inside a cargo container on the mining moon called Delta 4. She had never seen a tree, never heard birds. All she knew was dust and silence and war. But today was different. Today, she looked up through a crack in the metal wall and saw something she'd never seen before. A human warship. Not crashing, not burning, flying, fighting. Above Delta 4, outer orbit, Captain Darren Cross stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's last battleship. Its engines roared. Its armor gleamed. Behind him, Kale and Mara manned their stations. "Report," Darren said. Mara's voice was calm but urgent. "Rebel ships from all sectors have joined. We have 47 information." Kale added, "The Vorax fleet is moving in. 3 carriers, 10 destroyers, and Raqa's flagship." Darren looked at the screen. The enemy ships looked like shadows crawling across space. "Then let's show them," he said, "what it means to fight like humans." Meanwhile, Raqa's flagship, Raqa, stood tall, her arm in a brace, her pride even more broken than her body. "You let the weapon be destroyed," her second-in-command said. Raqa didn't answer. She simply stared at the fleet forming ahead. "Are we attacking?" he asked. She smiled. "No, we're finishing what we started." Back on the Defiance, a hologram of the little girl on Delta 4 flickered onto the screen. A distress signal. Static. Then her voice. "Please ... someone. We're still here." The crew went silent. Darren looked around the bridge. Every face was waiting. "We move now," he said. "We don't wait for orders. We don't play defense." He pointed to the screen. "We go there, we hit them hard. And we don't stop until every human hiding in every corner of space can stand in the open sky again." The crew roared. Kale smiled. Mara whispered, "Let's finish this." The battle begins. The rebel fleet lit up the stars, blue trails of fire. Cannons charged, shields humming. The Vorax fleet responded, a wave of black and red metal cutting through the void like knives. Missiles exploded, ships burst. But the Defiance moved like a lion. Darren gave orders like a conductor of war. Calm. Sharp, focused. Squad 6, flank left. Focus fire on that destroyer's engine. Don't defend Earth. Defend our future. In the chaos, Raqa's ship moves toward the Defiance. Kale watches her signature approach. He turns to Darren. "She's coming for you." Darren loads his blaster. "Let her." Final confrontation. Aboard the Defiance breaches. The ship with a strike team. Explosions in the hallway. Smoke. Screams. Darren walks through the fire alone to meet her. They face off in the main corridor. No soldiers. No backup. Just the 2 of them. "You still think you can win?" she asks. "No," Darren says. "I know it." They fight. Harder. Closer. Older now, both of them. Tired of war, but not tired enough. Raqa stabs. Darren dodges. He punches. She kicks. But this time, Darren doesn't fight with rage. He fights with memory. Every face he lost. Every voice he couldn't save. Every human still out there, watching. And when Raqa stumbles bleeding, weak, he lowers his weapon. "I won't kill you," he says. Raqa laughs through the blood. "Then you're a fool." "No," Darren replies. "I'm still human." Behind him, Kale and Mara arrive. Outside, the last of the Vorax fleet is falling back. Planet surface. Delta-4, the little girl opens the hatch of her hiding place. Smoke fills the air, but the sound she hears now is different. Boots. Not marching to invade, marching to help. A human soldier kneels beside her. "You're safe now." She looks up at the sky and sees the flag of Earth on the ship's wing. For the first time in her life, she smiles. 1 week later, Earth base reclaimed. A small crowd stands in front of a rebuilt command tower. Darren steps onto the platform, wounded, tired, but alive. He looks at the people. Survivors, fighters, children, former enemies. He speaks. "We are not the same as we were. We are fewer, we are changed. But we are still here. And the galaxy will never forget that humans fought back. Cheers. Flags raised. The war isn't over. But for the first time, hope is winning.